going to be reading a wizarding classic from the world of Harry Potter, The Tales of Beedle the Bard. And I'm going to read each story and make them into separate videos. And I'm going to be reading with different accents for the most part for each story. And in this one, I'm just going to speak in a standard American accent like I usually do. So I'm going to start from the very beginning. Just a little bit more dim so that it's not too bright. I'll show you the cover. The book smells really nice. I love the smell of books. Okay, I'll read the introduction. Actually, no, I won't. I'll just read a little bit of the introduction. So it says, The Tales of Beedle the Bard is a collection of stories written for young wizards and witches. They have been popular bedtime reading for centuries, with the result that the hopping pot and the fountain of fair fortune are as familiar to many of the students at Hogwarts as Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty are to Muggles, non-magical children. And let's see. In what Dumbledore said about truth many years ago to his favorite and most famous pupil, it is a beautiful and terrible thing, and should therefore be treated with great caution, whether we agree with him or not. We can perhaps excuse the Professor Dumbledore for wishing to protect future readers from the temptation to which he himself had fallen prey, and for which he paid so terrible a price. j.k.rowling 2009. Okay, so the first story is The Wizard and Hopping Pot. There was once a kindly old wizard who used his magic generously and wisely for the benefit of his users. Rather than reveal the truth, source of his power, he pretended that his patient's charms and antidotes sprang ready-made in the little country he called the Walking Cooking Pot. From miles around, people came to him with their troubles, and the wizard was pleased to give his pot a stir and set things right. This well-behaved, beloved wizard lived to a goodly age, then died, leaving all his chattels to his only son. This son was in very different disposition to his gentle father. Those who could not work magic were, to the son's mind, worthless, and he had often quarreled with his father's habit of dispensing magic aid to their neighbors. Upon the father's death, the son found hidden inside the old cooking pot a small package bearing his name. He opened it, hoping for gold, but found instead a soft, thick slipper, not too small to wear, and with no pair. A fragment of parchment within the slipper bore the words, "In the found hope, my son, that you will never need it." The son cursed his father's age-softened mind, then threw the slipper back into the cauldron, resolving to use it henceforth as a rubbish pill. That very night a peasant woman knocked on the front door. "My granddaughter is afflicted by a crop of warts, son," she told him. "Your father uses an exquisite poultice in that old cooking pot. Be gone, cried the sun. What care I for your brass words? And he slammed the door in the old woman's face. At once there came a loud clanging and banging from his kitchen. The wizard flipped his wand and opened the door, and there, to his amazement, he saw his father's old cooking pot. It had sprouted a single foot of brass, and was hopping in a spot in the middle of the floor, making a fearful noise upon the flagstone. The wizard approached, hidden in wonder, but fell back hurriedly when he saw that the whole of the pot's surface was covered in warts. Disgusting object, he cried, and he tried firstly to banish the pot, then to clean it by magic, and finally to force it out of the house. None of his spells worked, however, and he was unable to prevent the pot hopping after him out of his kitchen, and then followed him up to bed, clanging and banging and pounding on every wooden stair. The wizard could not sleep all night for the banging of the worthy old pot by his bedside, and next morning the pot insisted upon hopping out into the breakfast table. Clang, 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 went the brass-footed pot, and the wizard had not even started his plunge when there came another knock on the door. An old man stood on the doorstep. "'Tis my old donkey, sir," he exclaimed. "Lost she is, we're still wandering. Without her I cannot take my wares to market, and my family will go hungry tonight." "And I am hungry now," roared the wizard, and he slammed the door open upon he slammed the door upon the old man. Clang, 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 like the cooking pot stood with brass foot upon the floor. But now its clamor was mixed with the brayes of a donkey and human groans of hunger, echoing from the depths of the pot. "Be still, be silent," shrieked the wizard, but not all his magical powers could quiet him. The pot, which hopped and father, braying and groaning and clanging, no matter where he went or what he did. That evening there came a third knock upon the door, and there on the threshold stood a young woman sobbing as though her heart would break. "My baby is grievously ill," she said. "Won't you please help it? Your father made me come. It's trouble." But the wizard slammed the door on her, and now the tormenting pot filled to the brim with salt water, and splopped tears all over the floor as it hopped, and brayed and groaned and spouted more water, and spouted more voice. Though no more villagers came to seek help at the wizard's cottage for the rest of the week, the pot kept him informed of the many ills. Within a few days it was not only braying and groaning and flopping and hopping and spouting forth, it was also choking and retching, crying like a baby, whining like a dog, and spewing out bad cheese and sour milk, and the praise of hungry spat. The wizard could not sleep or eat with the pot beside him, but the pot refused to sleep, and he could not silence it or force it to be still. At last the wizard could bear it no more. "Bring me all your problems, all your troubles, and your woes," he screamed, fleeing into the night, with the pot hopping behind him along the road into the village. "Come, let me cure you, mend you, and comfort you. I have my father's cooking pot, and I shall make you well." And with the foul pot still bounding along behind him, he ran up the street, casting spells in every direction. Inside one house, the little girl's voice ran as though she slept. The lost donkey was summoned from a distant briar patch and set down softly in its stable. The sick baby was dosed in the tanning and woke, well and rosy. At every house of sickness and sorrow, the wizard did his best, and gradually the cooking pot beside him stopped groaning and retching and became quiet, shining and clean. "Well, Pop?" asked the trembling wizard as the sun began to rise. The pot burped out the single slipper he had thrown into it and floated into fit onto the brass foot. Together they set off back to the wizard's house. The pot's footstep muffled at last, and from that day forward, the wizard helped the villagers like his father before him, whilst the pot cast off its slipper and began to hop on wine and sing. And then there's the last bit. I forgot the legend the wizard of the hopping pot. A kind old wizard decides to teach his hard-hearted son a lesson by giving him a test of the muggle's misery. The young wizard's conscience awakes, and he agrees to use his magic for the benefit of his own magical neighbors. A simple and heartwarming fable, one might think, in which case one reveals oneself to be an innocent and incomplete. A poor muggle story showing a muggle-loving father of superior magic to a muggle-hating son. The question mark at the end. It was nothing short of amazing that many copies of the original version of this tale survived the flames to which they were so often consigned. Beedle was somewhat out of step with his times in preaching a message of brotherly love for muggles. The persecution of witches and wizards was gathering pace all over Europe in the early 15th century. Many in the magical community felt, and with good reason, that offering to cast a spell in the muggle next door's sickly pig was tantamount to volunteering to fetch the firewood for one's own funeral pyre. Let the muggles manage without us, was the cry as wizards drew further and further apart from their known magical brethren, culminating with the institution of the International Statute of Wizarding Secrecy in 1689, when wizardkind voluntarily went underground. Children, being children, however, the grotesque hopping pot had taken hold of their imaginations. The solution was to jettison the poor muggle's moral that keeps the warders cloistered. So, by the middle of the 16th century, a different version of the tale was in wide circulation among visiting families. In the revised story, the hopping pot protects an innocent wizard from his torch-bearing, pitchforking, toting neighbors by chasing them away from the wizard's cottage. I'm going to skip some. Okay. Wizard children are only told the revised version of the story by their generally anti-muggle parents, and the original, and when they ever read it, comes as a great surprise. Savile and hinted, however, and pro-muggle sentiment was not the only reason that the wizard in the hopping pot attracted anger. As the witch hunts grew even fiercer, visiting families began to live double lives, using charms of concealment to protect themselves and their families. By the 17th century, any witch or wizard who chose to fantasize with muggles became suspect, and even an outcast. And I'm going to skip some of this again, but apparently some people were called mud wallower, dung licker, and scum sucker. For having weak or inferior magic. That's hurtful. Wow. Brutus Malfoy, editor of Warlock at War, an anti-muggle periodical, perpetuated the stereotype that a muggle lover was about as magical as a squid. Anyway, This prejudice eventually died out in the fate of overwhelming evidence that some of the world's most beautiful but brilliant wizards were, to use the common phrase, Muggle lovely. There's a long history to this story. Albus Dumbledore is a smart man, more than smart. It's probably a coincidence that he just called him smart. Anyway, maybe I should read this too. Okay. Beatrix Bloxham, Mrs. Bloxham, believed that the tales of Beedle the Bard were damaging to children because of what she called their unhealthy preoccupation with the most horrid subjects, such as death, disease, bloodshed, wicked magic, unwholesome characters, and bodily infusions and erections of the most disgusting kind. And she means muggles. She took a variety of old stories, including Beedles, and rewrote them according to her ideas, which she expressed as filling the pure minds of the little angels with healthy, happy thoughts, keeping their sweet slumber free with the dreams of protecting the precious life of their innocence. Quote. Anyway, so she wrote this story, and the final paragraph of the story that I just read out loud, she rewrote as this, quote, "Then the little golden pot danced with delight, hoppity-hoppity-hop, on its tiny, lazy toes. Wee Willie King had cured all the dollies of the poorly tum-tums, and the little pot was so happy that it filled up with sweeties for wee Willie Kings and the dollies. So don't forget to brush your teethy pegs," cried the pot, and wee Willie Kings kissed and huggled the hoppity pot, and promised always to help the dollies and never to be an old grumpy wumpkins again. End quote. Mrs. Bloxham's tale has met the same response from generations of visiting children, uncontrollable retching, followed by an immediate demand to have the book taken from them and mashed into pulp. And that's the end. That was kind of short. I don't know how relaxing that was, but I hope it was, as it was a bedtime story. Still awake and hearing this. Do you think that's sleepy?